tremendous enthusiast, and you come onto the set, and he is the star of the set, and he excites everybody, he infuses everybody with a tremendous enthusiasm, and he accepted the fact that I was a very old man, and he was very kind to me and very generous. I was very nervous because it was the first movie that I had acted in for 15 years. But he was very understanding, and I enjoyed it very much indeed.
É claro que o Parque Jurássico é um exemplo do chamado cinema-espetáculo, ainda que de grande qualidade. Eu sei que o senhor recusa um pouco o cinema-espetáculo. O cinema para si é uma arma para denunciar injustiças?
Well, yes. Jurassic Park, I mean, I couldn't make Jurassic Park. I don't have the skills to make Jurassic Park. I'm not... Spielberg has a genius for that sort of work, and I don't. But if I am a director, if I am directing, then I have the opportunity, as you suggest, to make certain statements. If I am an actor, I am an interpreter. I have the script, and I must say what is in the script. If I am the director, I can choose the subject. And I may say things which I wish to say and express views that I wish to express about, as you suggest, injustices or things that I feel passionately about. Tolerance and compassion and prejudice. Yes, I would wish to attack those in the sort of movies that I make.
Eu confesso-me um fã dos seus filmes, da maior parte dos filmes que eu tenho visto. Eu noto em si uma grande coerência na escolha dos temas. Eu penso que a sua educação, os seus pais também transmitiram essa coerência. É fácil ser coerente no mundo do cinema?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know how coherent one can be. You are absolutely right about my parents. They were very special people in my life. I miss them very much, even now, and I'm over 70 now, and I would still like the feeling of being able to talk to them about what I do. They were great liberals. They were involved against Franco in the Spanish Civil War, in that they brought a lot of Basque refugee children to England at that time. And they were people who didn't only talk, they acted. What they believed in, they pursued in their actions and in their lives. And I have two brothers, two younger brothers, and I think all three of us would say that our parents shaped and determined our feelings and our attitudes to a tremendous degree.
Mas eu volto à questão de ser fácil ou de ser difícil essa coerência, manter essa coerência no mundo do cinema. Eu sei que os seus filmes, por vezes, têm dificuldade em arranjar financiamento para os filmes. Poderia ter optado por um cinema mais espetacular, mais comercial, mas não. Pega no pacifismo, pega no direito à liberdade, pega nesses temas e faz filmes com outros valores. É fácil, perante tudo isto, ser coerente e manter essa coerência durante tantos anos? Volto à pergunta.
No, it is not easy. One should be honest. Of course it's not easy. It's much easier to make Terminator 2 or Police Academy or the latest Schwarzenegger picture. Of course it's much easier. But I don't want to make those movies. I'm not interested in those movies. That I might be as an actor, yes, fine. But there are things that I want to say. There are things that I care very deeply about. And my opportunity, because I am not an intellectual, I left school when I was 16. My opportunity, being not a writer or a painter or a composer, is to say what I want to say through this magical medium, which I am so lucky to work in, this art form of this century, to have the opportunity it is difficult, and it means there are often long times between the movies because I don't wish to compromise. I don't wish to make movies which do not contain something that I care deeply about.
Quando nos seus filmes, no Gandhi, no Cry Freedom, utiliza cenas visualmente fortes, com milhares de figurantes, como por exemplo um funeral, é uma concessão ao cinema comercial? É para atrair público?
Well, you're a bad man.
No,
I don't think concessions. I don't think necessarily as a compromise. In the film that I have just completed, called Shadowlands, it's set in Oxford. It is not on a large scale. It is by far the most deeply emotional and moving film that I've ever made, with Anthony Hopkins and Deborah Winger. But it is on quite a small scale. Gandhi's life, if you don't portray Gandhi's life in the midst of millions of people, you don't understand India. The image and the life and the multitudes within India are part of Gandhi's life, in the same way that the mass of black people in South Africa are part of Steve Biko and Donald Wood's life. No, they were not put in there for purely commercial reasons. They added, I think, to the interest of the public in seeing a picture of that scale. But they were not put in there in a crude inducement to box office.
Eu faço ideia do tempo que demora a fazer um filme destes. Eu penso que é muito importante, por exemplo, a busca da fonte certa. Quanto tempo é que demora a preparar um filme como Grita Liberdade, por exemplo? Sei que são anos e anos de espera e de trabalho.
You're quite right. You're absolutely right. I mean, Gandhi took 20 years. Ben Kingsley you had talked to Ben on the program. Ben may have told you it took 20 years because nobody wanted to make it. Nobody was interested in making a film. I remember going to one of the big American companies and talking to the head of the studio, and I explained this wonderful story, I thought. And the man said, "Who the hell do you think's interested in a story about a little brown man dressed in a sheet carrying a beanpole?" Now, you know, that's tough going to have to get through that terrible attitude. But every movie that I have attempted to make has taken quite a long time, because they are not necessarily easy movies to either create or to finance. The only movie that has been really very quick was this last one. I read the script on a Friday night. I was recording the music for a film I made on the life of Chaplin the next day. Tony Hopkins came in to listen to the music. I gave him the script. Why do you want me to read it, he said. I said, I'm not going to tell you. Just read it. And when I got home, there was a message to phone him. And I telephoned him. And he said, "You devil. You absolute devil. You should have warned me about this movie." I had to put the script down 3 times because I was so moved by the story. That was on Saturday evening, and by Tuesday evening, I had the $20 million. It was that quick. It never ever happened in my life before, ever. But usually, you're absolutely right, it takes a long time.
Já vamos falar deste seu filme. Falou aí de Charlie Chaplin. Eu julgo que não fosse o filme Gandhi que ao Ana Chaplin não lhe teria dado autorização para fazer o filme de Charlie. Quando fez o filme de Charlie, e eu estou-lhe a perguntar isto porque uma das nossas convidadas aqui neste programa foi justamente Geraldine Chaplin. Quando fez o filme de Chaplin, mudou a sua opinião sobre o ator e o realizador que foi Chaplin, uma vez que eu penso que dá uma visão muito real do homem.
I think I liked him more. He was a god to me. I first saw him when I was 11 years old in a movie called The Gold Rush. And whereas there have been great performers in the cinema, I mean, remarkable performers of his period, the fact is that as far as the change of the cinema was concerned, the fact that it was not anymore just custard pies and Keystone Cop chases, but it really was an art form which had something to say, and a new form and depth of entertainment, that came from Charlie. And whereas I had read some of the more salacious, more crudely, sexually condemning of Charlie's life, I understood much more about that in reading more about him and coming to know all the family, including Geraldine. And I think at the end of the day, I not only admired him as the genius of his period in the cinema, but I also had a great affection for him.
Falamos agora do seu último filme. O que é que tem para oferecer este filme?
It's a very, very, very emotional film. At the end of the movie, men as much as women come out and they are crying. They are devastated by the movie. I've never witnessed or known anything quite like it before. What it has to say, because there is a great sadness in it, obviously, but what it has to say is that life and affection and love and human relationships are wonderful. Whoever in the sky provided that for us, whoever you worship, life as we know it is something to be enjoyed to the full. But it must be enjoyed to the full if you are to experience the ecstasy. You cannot expect only to have the joys. If you make yourself vulnerable, if you allow emotions to come to you and affect your life and your living, then you must be prepared to experience the pain and even the tragedy if you are to have the ecstasy and the joy. And that is what Lewis is about.
E tem sido assim a sua vida?
Yes.
Eu sei que o cachê que recebe hoje, recebe-o em nome da sua fundação. Que fundação é esta?
I was not able, my parents were not able to afford the money to send me to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. I had to win a scholarship. 1,500, 1,600 children, young people, every year apply to come to the Royal Academy. There are only 30 spaces. And in England now, je regrette, there are no mandatory drama grants. So that a young actor or actress, potentially, a girl or boy, 16, 18, 20, who's finished school and wants to study for the theatre, cannot come to the theatre to learn, to RADA, unless they have money. And so in the north of England, we are closing our coal mines, for instance. So you have a young daughter of a coal miner who is not able to come to the Royal Academy, who may be a genius in 5 or 6 years' time in the theatre who will play Ophelia, who will play Viola, who will play the great classical parts, and they cannot come. So I am establishing, because I am chairman of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, where I was. I've been chairman now for 20 years. So I am establishing a number of scholarships, a number of bursaries, to allow children who cannot afford to study for the theatre, because theatre and movies and acting in the UK is something very precious in our tradition. And I want to be sure that that tradition continues.
Bem-aja. Aceitam cálice de Porto?
Oh, absolutely.
Muito obrigado.
You cannot come to Portugal and not accept a glass of port wine.
Muito obrigado. Eu não me vou esquecer desta conversa até ao final da minha vida. Muito obrigado.